It's a philosophy of going the extra mile. It's to do unto others. It's part of our mission statement is to follow the golden rule, and that really breaks down to treating other people as you want to be treated, giving the kind of service that you want to give. People don't talk about average service. People only talk about really great service or really lousy service. We want our customers to talk about us, and we want them to talk about us, our great service. That's what we're trying to get them to talk about. Average service, nobody talks about. We want them to talk about our great service. And we do a lot of things. Our employees look for ways to kind of go over the top. And in this company, they're rewarded when they do that. I hope there's hundreds of examples out there, and I hope there are 100 more still to come.
Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. We would like to welcome Jim Shelburne with the Washington Avenue Christian Church to give our invitation. That's
Father, during this season, our minds have been preoccupied with lots of different things, like elections. And we honestly get to where we whine a lot and complain a lot. Lord, I pray you would allow us to fix our eyes on the things that are right with our nation, things that are right with our city, and that we would be a people of gratitude as we move toward Thanksgiving and as we consider the blessings that are ours. We do thank you for the city that we live in. We thank you for all the blessings that come to us through it. Help us to see those, Lord, every day. We thank you for these leaders that you have chosen, you have placed here. We ask that you would bless them, you would guide them and give them wisdom in the responsibilities that they have accepted. Thank you, Lord, for watching over us, for blessing us in so many different ways. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Would you join me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have two proclamations, so we'll come down front. We'd like to invite Albert Capel and the people that are with him to please come forward, if you would. If you don't mind, you can face that way, and we'll have the video will be proper there. We're proud to do this. These folks have been dealing with the reading of the Bible for quite a period of time, and so we have the pleasure to read this proclamation. Whereas the Bible has been a consistent source of moral and spiritual guidance for many people throughout the centuries. And whereas the Bible has profoundly influenced art, literature, music, and code of law. And whereas the Bible has motivated many to act many acts of compassion and charity. And whereas the Bible continues to provide inspiration, hope, and comfort for millions of Americans today. And whereas National Bible Week is a time to be reminded of the Bible's unique place in American life. For 32 years, the Kiwanis Club of Amarillo South has sponsored the Bible Reading Marathon in Amarillo. And whereas the annual celebration has encouraged the reading of the Bible, now, therefore, we, Mayor and City Commissioners of the City of Amarillo, Texas, do hereby proclaim November 15th through November 21st, 2012 as National Bible Week in Amarillo, Texas, and encourage interested citizens to participate in this observance. Given under our hand and seal this day, Mayor and City Commissioners, City of Amarillo. And Howard, would you like to make a comment?
Yes, I'd like to mainly let people know what it is and what is going on. We sponsor the Bible Reading Marathon. We actually start at 1 o'clock. This is on Channel 95 at Suddenlink. It starts at 1 o'clock on Thursday, and we'll read it through Monday evening at about 10:15. There's 10 different teams, or 36 different teams with 10 different readers, so you'll find 360 people reading verses in the Bible, read the Bible from front, the back, and the cover. So be sure and tune in and listen.
Thank you for being here. Thanks, sir. You guys over here there. Thank you very much.
And it's my pleasure to read the next proclamation, National Hospice and Palliative Care Month. And I'd like to invite up Helen and Ronnie and Danny and everybody from Hospice Care of the Southwest. I asked if I could read this proclamation because, Becky, you're here too. I feel like these people are part of my family. They take tremendous care of my mother, and I just adore them. So, whereas hospice care provides the highest quality of care to patients and families, and brightens and brings comfort, love, and respect for all they serve in communities across the nation and here in Amarillo, Texas. And whereas hospice care providers take the time to ask what's important to those they are caring for and listen to what their parents and patients and families say, and whereas hospice care professionals, including physicians, nurses, social workers, therapists, counselors, health aides, and clergy, provide comprehensive and compassionate care that makes the wishes of each patient and family a priority. And whereas through pain management and symptom control, caregiving, training and assistance, and emotional and spiritual support allowing patients to live fully up until the final moments, surrounded and supported by the faces of loved ones, friends, and committed caregivers. And whereas the provision of quality hospice care reaffirms our belief in the essential dignity of every person, regardless of age, health, or social status, and that every stage of human life deserves to be treated with the utmost respect and care. And whereas every year more than 1.6 million Americans living with life-limiting illnesses and their families receive care from the nation's hospice programs in communities throughout the United States, and whereas more than 468,000 trained volunteers contribute 22 million hours of service to hospice programs annually, and whereas hospice care providers encourage all people to learn more about options of care and to share their wishes with family, loved ones, and their healthcare professionals, now therefore we, Mayor and City Commissioners of the City of Amarillo, Texas, do hereby proclaim November 2012 as National Hospice Palliative Care Month, and encourage citizens to increase their understanding and awareness of care at the end of life, and to observe this month with appropriate activities and programs. And it's signed by all of us here. And thank you very much. Helen, are you the spokesperson? Danny is. Okay.
Thank you for that. And I brought you all a packet of information that tells you a little bit about what we're doing in National Hospice Month and throughout the year. You'll find information in there about our Grief and the Holiday presentations, our ongoing support group. And you might wonder why we're wearing the little buttons that say Ask Me. That's our way this month of encouraging the community to ask us about hospice care, and we tell them about National Hospice Care Month. But it's a privilege to work here in this city to provide care in homes, nursing homes, and in our inpatient unit, and we thank you for recognizing the important part of hospice care in this community. Thank you so much.
Thank you for what you do. Thank you so much. How are you? I'm good. How are you? Thank you for what you do. Appreciate it. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Come by and see
Before we begin the meeting today, I'd like to have 2 points of personal privilege. One is to recognize a deceased member of a board that he was active for years and years, Doug Davis, and I believe his funeral was today. He was a member of the CBDG board for an extended period of time, did a yeoman's effort for the city and for the folks in the city, so I want to recognize him. We also have a guest here that is shadowing the mayor, Erica Dodge. If you'd stand up for a minute. She's an Amarillo College student, and she has got an assignment now of shadowing the mayor for a day. So, in my duties as mayor. So, thank you for being here. With that, we'd like to say good afternoon and welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Amarillo City Commission held on the third floor of City Hall this Tuesday at 3 p.m. The first item of business on today's agenda is the minutes. Attached is a copy of the minutes. The minutes are regarding the meeting from November 6, 2012. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes as presented? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move for approval of minutes as presented.
I second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes with a 5-0 vote. Number 2, ordinance number 7374. This is the first and final reading of an ordinance authorizing the issuance of City of Amarillo, Texas Combination Tax and Revenue Certificates of Obligation, Series 2012A, in a principal amount not to exceed $6,900,000 for the purchase of acquiring, improving, and constructing municipal drainage facilities, equipment, and related items. This issuance is as considered in the approved fiscal year 2012-13 budget and will be repaid with revenue generated by the drainage utility and include an ad valorem tax pledge to ensure the city receives the most favorable rates possible, which will result in a net savings for Amarillo residents. I would like to ask Steve and Dean to come forward and maybe give us a little bit of indication of how well we did with this. I understand it was very favorable.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Stephen Adams, Specialized Public Finance. As you mentioned when you're calling the ordinance, these are tax and revenue certificates of obligation, which are for municipal drainage improvements and will be paid for by municipal drainage fee revenues, though they also have the city's underlying ad valorem property taxes as a pledge. In this process of moving forward, we did go through rating reviews by Standard & Poor's and Moody's for this and for the next item, the Series 2012 fee certificates that we'll talk about in a moment. These particular certificates have a 20-year maturity, and in our rating upgrades, we received a AAA rating by Standard & Poor's, which is the city's current rating, which is the highest rating available by Standard & Poor's. By Moody's, we received a AA1 rating, which is the second highest rating by Moody's. Both of those are very high ratings, and I'd like to point out that very few cities or other municipalities have these high ratings. What that did allow us to do this morning, we took bids from interested broker-dealers, and for the Series 2012A, we received 8 bids. The winning bidder was UBS Financial Services, which has a true interest cost of 1.763277%. So for 20-year debt, just over 1.76% true interest cost of the city will pay for these certificates. And we recommend that the Commission award these certificates to UBS Financial Services.
Okay. Do we have any questions from the audience or from the Commission in regards to this issue?
If I may.
Certainly.
And part of this is, you've heard, but I think the proposal needs to hear this. And it's going to be a multiple-part question, Steve.
Okay.
I'll let you answer it as you see fit. And that is, this is unbelievable. It's unprecedented in Amarillo's history, but it's unprecedented from coast to coast, where we see numerous cities going broke, file bankruptcy, and here we're rated with higher paper than the United States government. And in your experience, if you've been in this business in excess of 20 years, I'm aware of that, have you ever seen rates like Amarillo's receiving? I'm not talking about the way rates are today, but what we're receiving and enjoying.
And for 20-year debt to be at these rates, no. And interest rates are very low now. It became lower this week as the Fed policy of keeping rates low was reaffirmed by the election. So that helped with these interest rates. And it's, if you're borrowing money, now is a very good time to be doing it. And just to move ahead on the next agenda item, where we have 5-year debt at under 1%, 0.686%, I've never seen a fixed rate bond that low ever. Period. Correct.
Well, but I mean, to me, it says volumes about, and here again, this goes back for a number of commissions, you might say, but for the way Mr. Frigo runs his department and the way the city has continuously operated conservatively and with forethought, it's just, it's unbelievable almost.
Yeah, that's the leadership of the mayor and commission, previous commissioners.
This is good.
Yes.
I think also it's significant, you indicated that there were very few cities. I had heard at one time there were less than 24, probably about 18 cities in Texas that enjoy that kind of rating. Is that still the case?
That would be on the high side, I would imagine. I don't know the exact number. It changes and goes up and down over time, but there's
very low.
Very, very few.
The last time I looked, AAA GO and AAA Water, there was 4 cities.
4 cities. And nationwide, I heard it was under 150, the total nation.
Yeah, I mean, I think when Dean narrows it, because you also have AAA on the water and sewer side, that knocks a great deal of them out right there. So to narrow to that term, there's probably fewer than that, but pretty significant.
We often get concerned, and obviously an important concern by citizens wondering if the city's being managed right and wondering about our debt. And I would say that Standard & Poor's and Moody's apply some very objective standards and push that. We have to answer very strictly what their questions and their data is. And so they have really said that we are managing ourselves very carefully and have very, very little debt.
That's correct. And as you all have said, the city of Amarillo has been managed well for many decades. And that's what puts you in a position to have AAA bond ratings.
Well, I understand that our debt before this issuance is about $27 million tied to property tax. And that sister city south of us, within 100 miles or so, has $275 million in debt, similar debt. So that's one of the things that I think they look at is how well we've done with keeping our debt down. We know that the mayor and commission get some accolades, but they really are due to the staff. The staff does this. There's no question about it. The operation of the city, being able to operate fiscally responsible is all really, we think. I think everybody would agree it's the staff that does this. So, thank you.
Amen. Good job. Well done.
Okay. Is there anything else in regards to this ordinance that we have a question from the audience or from the commission? Not an entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of ordinance number 7374.
Second.
A motion and a second for ordinance number 7374. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes with a 5-0 vote. Ordinance number 7375. This is the first and final reading of an ordinance authorizing the issuance of City of Amarillo, Texas Combination Tax and Revenue Certificates of Obligation, Series 2012B, in the principal amount not to exceed $2,790,000 for the purpose of acquiring rolling stock, equipment, vehicles, and related items for city fleet. This issuance is as considered in the approved 2012-13 fiscal year budget and will be repaid with revenue generated by the municipal garage fund and includes both the ad valorem tax pledge and the solid waste disposal fee pledge to ensure the city receives the most favorable ratings possible. This will result in net savings for the Amarillo residents. Anything? I think you've gone over the numbers on this 5 years and .686050.
That's correct. And just point out that this is a lower maturity. It's only 5 years to match the asset life of the assets being financed by this, whereas the other one, municipal drainage, has assets that will last for many, many, many years. So we do recommend that the Commission award the Series 2012 B certificates to VOSC Inc. at the .606
Mr. City Manager, isn't it also true that in the future, the payments by those departments will refund this and allow purchase in the future of these items?
That's correct, Mayor. The repayment stream for this is in each appropriate department's budget, and this equipment being purchased is carefully selected that its lifespan is longer than the 5-year lifespan that it's purchasing.
So this is part of beefing up that water the drainage utility department?
This one is for the municipal.
I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
The things that are used with that.
There is equipment being purchased under Ordinance 7374 that goes directly to the drainage utility that's supported by that. So yes, they're both self-supporting debts, and both streams are in the budget.
Okay. Any other comments? Thank you all very much for your efforts and your work. Great results you got for us. Thank you. I'd entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve ordinance number 7375.
Okay.
A motion and a second for ordinance number 7375. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That passes with a 5-0 vote. Public hearing, downtown streetscape enhancement grant application. This item conducts a public hearing to present the proposed downtown streetscape enhancement grant request and receive public comment. We have a presentation, I believe, on this. Is that Melissa Daly? Are you making that presentation?
I didn't know if you were going to say first. You just dive right in. Okay. Well, we have a great opportunity, again, to apply for streetscape funds. You might recall 3 years ago, TxDOT issued the same kind of call for projects. This is for transportation enhancement projects. And we submitted a project 3 years ago and unfortunately didn't get it. And so that has been renewed, and we've put together a project for you to consider. Just kind of as a frame of reference, last time, 3 years ago, we submitted a project that was focused on 6th Street from Buchanan to Polk and Polk from 6th to 8th. Gary Pittner, who's here, and I went to a TxDOT meeting and kind of gleaned some information on what might be the best project to submit, what might the number be, and with discussions with the city staff, this is kind of what we came up with. The parts that you see in red are the developments for the multipurpose event center, the convention hotel, and the parking garage. So this project is outside of that, and really the intent of this was to find a number that made sense that we felt we could potentially get through this process, and B, to connect the improvements that are planned or already in place so that we can sort of fill in the holes. And so the project that we're proposing is streetscape from 6th down to 11th on Buchanan. Not including that which is already planned or under construction or already in place, such as Happy State Bank, the Chicken Toto, and of course the hotel and ballpark project. And then the block of 6 from Pierce to Belmont. So you've all seen this. I won't belabor this, but this project, the hotel and the ballpark, of course, envision the streetscape. And of course, the streetscape around those particular projects is included within those projects. This project would be in addition to those. So I just wanted to give you that frame of reference. This is a design that we did 3 years ago. You're going to see the same kind of design. Kind of flip through those fairly quickly. Here's the 3D renderings that were done. So what we're proposing this time around is the same as what was proposed then. These are some pictures of what you see in the ground, and this is what we're proposing in terms of what that streetscape would look like with the pedestrian lighting, the trees, the new sidewalks.
there are also a few benches, bike racks in there. That's the new Maxwell parking lot that's going in. Happy State Bank parking lot. So this is the boundary of the proposed project. And by the way, the deadline is Friday, so we're still working on that, but I think we've kind of finalized all of the design components and the cost. So here you see 6 to 11 Bud Buchanan and the one block of Pierce. And then we'll just kind of quickly go through. I mean, this all looks familiar to you. I'm sure this is the same design, but we worked with Jacobs to look block by block of what was needed. So it wasn't just a broad-based concept, but we looked at each block to determine what was needed. And there's pictures, I'm assuming you can get a copy of this, there's pictures of each of those blocks in terms of what's on those blocks, and we looked at the developments on those blocks. This is the block of 6 to 7 on Buchanan, and the streetscape is already funded on that block for, or as is part of the hotel and garage and ballpark funding. But we are proposing, and this would be something new that we would see, and that would be crosswalks on each intersection, as well as just on that one intersection that was on the last slide. If you go back to the star treatment, it doesn't have to be a star, but whatever design that is, sort of a special treatment at 6 and Buchanan, because we feel that's a very special intersection and will have a tremendous amount of pedestrian activity. So really the whole goal with this project is to make this whole corridor much more pedestrian friendly. So here's the budget. Gosh, I didn't bring my glasses. So there's the numbers. 1.9 million and change, and TxDOT has part of that as a 15% administration fee. So the funds requested will be 1.5 plus million, $385,000 match from tiers. So I think this is a great example of how we can leverage $385,000 in tiers funds to get a $2 million cityscape project.
Any questions?
Yeah, now this isn't a done deal, right? We're just giving you permission to go after it.
Yeah, I think today you're approving the tiers, if I'm not mistaken, approving the tiers.
That's correct, ma'am.
Okay.
This particular item in the hearing is for downtown Amarillo to make a presentation and to solicit and receive any public comment. Mm-hmm. The next item is the consideration of the resolution that authorizes the submission. And then finally, on a separate part of the agenda would be the approval of the TIERS project that provides those matching funds, so that once again the funds generated collected in downtown are those funds going to the supported downtown.
This allows for the proposal to be submitted and the funding in line.
And is part of the strength of the proposal that it's along a highway, a state highway?
Yeah, I think there's several factors. We talked a lot about the right amount, what we thought we could get. There's $70 million available, and $35 million of that is going to go towards the major MPOs, the rest towards the smaller communities. Unfortunately, the major MPOs, or the cities are part of those major MPOs that don't get funding from the $35 million pot they have, can also go after then later the smaller pot. So we tried to look at a number we thought would make sense, and we wanted to look at a project that would connect all that's being done, sort of fill in the holes. And yes, the fact that Buchanan is a TxDOT highway way into it, we thought that might help. Also, it was a little bit less complicated than last time in that there aren't as many historic properties. We have to get okay from THC. We did get that letter in from Texas Historic Commission. So that's important to have that sort of one of those boxes to check off. There's only 2 historic properties, historic-ish. One is low priority, which is the Bernard's Auto, and another one is the auto-related business across from Happy State Bank. So all those factors we try to weigh in, really focus on the best project to actually get approval.
Because we tried before.
We have.
Twice.
Yeah.
So
once the first time that TxDOT withdrew the funds, so.
But prior to that, I think Center City had proposed something.
Yeah, that was when TxDOT withdrew the whole funding source.
A lot of work's been done. We appreciate the efforts, and it was really put together quickly by a multitude of people that work on this.
Yeah, they give us 60 days to put it all together. So it's one of the important reasons to plan it.
Any other questions from commissioners? Anything from anyone from the audience that has a question? Ms. Daly, yes, sir. Please come forward. I think you know this, but for everyone else, state your name and address. And
Alan Abraham.
We have 3 minutes for comment.
I live at 7205 Southwest 35th Avenue. Resident of Amarillo. Someone used the word quickly put together, and that's the way this strikes me, that this grant is inexorably moving downtown development toward the south rather than the north. And that worries me until I have more reassurances that the Wallace-Bajali financial plan is going to hold up. So this looks like eggs in a basket a little early, too many eggs in one basket. And again, narrowing the options for downtown development to the 3 projects moving toward the south. That may work out. If it does, this makes perfect sense. I'm not convinced Wallace-Bajali is going to pull this off as far as finances, given the government situation, type monies, and so forth. So I just wonder where the wiggle room is in our planners' minds if it doesn't work out that Wallace-Bajali can deliver as a master developer. On top of that is that if he doesn't, we need some other options already very publicly in the mix, people aware of, and there is other land we could be developing that may be going north instead of south. So, if I have to have a question,
certainly.
I'm looking for wiggle room. This looks like we're inexorably heading south.
I think literally, Commissioner Eads would have a comment for you, Mr. Abrams.
Well, some people don't ever want us to pass up an opportunity to, discredit our partners in this plan. But as it stands now, we intend to do streetscape all over town. And we can pick one particular area to start with, as other areas have started. Some of our local churches, some of our local colleges have all made commitments. And we're trying to get a harmonic convergence and a certain amount of streetscape so it's not a hodgepodge here and there. So we find an attractive environment for retail business to come. And so certainly I think our partners have done all their diligence in trying to fulfill their end of these agreements, and there's some current work ongoing. I think this is a very intelligent use of all the different street blocks that we have in which we can do streetscape development. I think this makes perfect sense. It's good with the plan, and all the parties at the table are in agreement. So that's how I would respond to that.
Yes, sir.
And I might add to Dr. Eads' comments, this particular application will expire this coming Friday. If we don't submit it by Friday, forget it, regardless of how valid it may or may not be. We haven't spent any money, needless to say, and we have applied for this type of grant previously and have yet to get one. So.
The nice thing to me is it would allow us to leverage $400,000 commitment from the tiers into 4 times that. Yeah, and so it's certainly an opportunity that's out there. We have no assurance it'll be here. We have other real property issues that we're dealing with the development of downtown. One of the things that I think is really great to hear as we hear this transpire is for 20 years plus, downtown properties only increased in value about 2%. And in the last short period of time, 2 to 3 years, those property values have increased 37%, where other values around the city have increased at 8 to 10% over a 10-year period very quickly. And we've issued over $60 million worth of building permits. Someone said it's closer to 70. we've issued a tremendous amount, and we certainly have shown in many of the public meetings those progressive slides. We're all sort of wishing that the shovels were in the ground, that things were further, but we'll probably be wishing that for the next 20 years, because our intention is that we won't stop. As Commissioner Reed said, we will continue, and any time we have an opportunity, some of that's decided by the developers that come in. Some is decided, in this case, by state funding that's made available on projects that make sense. We certainly picked this from many places we could have looked at, but it made the most sense with everything else that supports it. So thank you for your question. I think we have a good feeling about pushing forward on this. Thank you, sir.
The additional question would probably be to the city manager of that. So we do get the grant, and we now have the money in hand. It's a good leveraging. I agree with that. Does it have to go exactly the direction and the way we say, the way the grant reads, or is there wiggle room?
No, that's the idea of the grant. Very specific performance on that grant, or we lose it.
It goes.
Well, that's why there's a grant. They won't let us willy-nilly spend our money or your money. We have to do it very specifically to the defined aspects of this plan, just as you'd hope we would.
I was driving. Buchanan's a major thoroughfare through downtown. And I was driving here today thinking, it's like your house, when you don't see things that are just not looking very good. And I was driving down thinking, the City Hall sign really pretty much stinks, outside City Hall. And I was thinking, we just don't see that stuff anymore. We just drive down and think, oh, well, that's what it looks like, And so I'm encouraged to see that this major thoroughfare really ties to both ends of downtown, because I'm glad Brian brought that up, because Amarillo College and Polk Street and the Baptists over there have made that end of downtown really beautiful. And there are lots of streetscapes going on around downtown, but Buchanan is just not there yet.
And keep in mind that the streetscaping will be done on the east side of the two-total property, and already has been done on the east side of Happy State Bank property.
So
this is actually not the line.
You really tie in a lot of areas that have already been developed privately, and they spent their money on it, and so we're enhancing that. I think it's great progress. We're excited. We hope we get the grant, and that we perform by that grant. Ms. Daly with Downtown Amarillo Lake, please.
I just wanted to share something. Buchanan, the walkability of Buchanan is important no matter what happens of every street downtown. But I thought it was interesting when I was pulling together the photographs on a rainy day for the Historic Commission, and we started this project. I was walking along Buchanan, and I got stopped twice from people who thought that my car had broken down and did I need help. And it would be nice when Buchanan is a corridor that has development, that has the walkability, that people don't think something's going horribly wrong if you're walking along the sidewalk.
Well, if you think about everything getting finished, a 300-room hotel, an 841-space parking garage, which could contain 2,400 people trying to cross the street to go to the ballpark or whatever other events held there, because the ballpark's described to me as possibly 57 nights of ball games and 150 nights of other events. So you're going to need these walkability features for those people to safely be able to deal with that. And it's one of the reasons I support the bulb outs, is because that cuts that exposed area for them and makes it much safer. And also, I think some of those trucks might slow down a little bit as they're coming down there with those cattle, and they might decide to go around town on the loop, which I think would be wonderful. I don't think anybody would mind seeing the cattle trucks heading around the loop instead of coming through our downtown.
Well, I think the perception sometimes is that is the downtown development. That's it. That's all in terms of the ballpark. It's a piece of the greater picture, and you have to keep moving forward and not just stop and wait for that to happen before you do anything.
Well, I think it harkens back to the evidence that's factual. What Oklahoma City did. They voted for $392 million to be spent in their downtown about 14 years ago. And from that $392 million that was spent, it parlayed into $315 billion of expenditure. $1 billion of expenditure in downtown Oklahoma City. If you haven't been there in the last years, you just wouldn't imagine what's happened. Of course, we are in Oklahoma City. We know that. but we will certainly benefit by progressing instead of regressing with these areas. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, so that, any other comments in regards to the public hearing? Anyone else would like to make a comment or have more information? Thank you. Then that will close the public hearing and we'll move to the resolution number 5 on the agenda. Resolution Streetscape Enhancement Grant Application. This resolution authorizes the City of Amarillo to submit a nomination application to the Texas Department of Transportation, TxDOT, for a downtown streetscape enhancement project for portions of Buchanan Street and Southeast 6th Avenue. This project has been cooperatively developed by Downtown Amarillo, Inc. and the Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone Number 1, and is consistent with the Downtown Urban Design Standards and the Downtown Strategic Plan. The estimated cost of this project is $1,925,942, of which 80% is requested from the TxDOT Texas Enhancement Program and 20% local match of $385,188 will be provided from the Amarillo Center City Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone Number 1. Are there any other questions in regards to this resolution from the audience or from the Commission? Not entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the resolution to authorize the streetscape enhancement grant application.
Motion.
Second.
Second. We have a motion and a second for the resolution for streetscape enhancement grant application. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That passes with a 5-0 vote. Number 6, resolution Quarter Horse Aquatium World Championship Show. This resolution authorizes the submission of an application to the Texas Comptroller for a special event trust funds for the 2013 American Quarter Horse Aquatium World Championship Show in Amarillo. This resolution also authorizes a multi-party contract with American Quarter Horse Association, the Amarillo Chamber of Commerce, on behalf of the Amarillo Convention and Visitors Bureau and the Amarillo Otter Event District or Venue District. And do we have any clarification on this needed by anybody in the audience? Great. Okay, good.
Yeah, well, this is similar to what we've done in previous years and what we did with the WRCA, that the rodeo was just here. So it's something we'd like to pursue.
This will get other monies back from the state, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Sort of free-found money, is that right?
But it's always somebody's money, but
It's never free.
Yeah.
It's our money, we're getting it back.
Yes.
Okay.
I might add, this event is huge in the quarter horse world, and it brings a lot of people into Amarillo, and they were very heavily supported by other cities to move that event away from Amarillo. So we're very fortunate to get that event to stay in Amarillo.
Yes, we are.
Many cities were pretty strong contenders for this, but the people with the show expressed unbelievable support for Amarillo and what we do for them and what they do for us. So it was a great job again by the city, I think, and the CBC and all these groups to put that together. Thank you. Thank you. Are there any other questions from the audience or from the Commission in regards to this item?
Mr. Mayor, I would move for approval of this resolution for the submission of an application to the Texas Comptroller for special event trust funding for the AQHA Aquarium project.
I second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes with a 5-0 vote. The consent agenda. It is recommended the following items be approved, that the city manager be authorized to execute all documents necessary for each transaction. A is the purchase of fire trucks. B is the approval of Center City Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone Number 1 project. And C is the approval license hold harmless agreement. Are there any items that need to be removed for separate consideration by the Commission? If not, is there any clarification needed on these by anyone in the audience or by the Commission? I'd entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the consent agenda as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes with a 5-0 vote. Well, this concludes the regularly scheduled meeting of the Amarillo City Commission. It's, however, customary at this time to allow citizens of this community with matters not on the agenda pertaining to city policy, programs, and services to speak to the Commission. And the floor is now open for such comments. Is there anyone that would like to come forward and make a comment? Please, sir, come forward. If you can give your name and address, and again, we'd ask people to keep their comments within 3 minutes. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, members of the Commission, good afternoon. I'm Robert Goodrich, 6510 Sandy Drive, Amarillo, Texas, proud local citizen, and I'd like to officially add my welcome to a new city secretary. I'm pleased we have a wonderful person who's well experienced and capable. Sure she'll bless our whole town. Mr. Mayor, I'm here to inquire about a letter that I wrote you and the City Commission not many weeks ago, and I haven't received a response. And I'm just terribly concerned that maybe it was too difficult a matter for the city to respond to, or perhaps it slipped through the cracks. I'm desperately needing this letter, and allow me to explain why. I'm trying to make a very substantial contribution to downtown revitalization. I mean, it's a serious matter for me.
We may have a quick answer for you. Did we send that? Was it sent registered?
No, just
it was just sent, and it was sent when? As I think we promised several days ago. So it should be in your hands.
Okay, well, I'll check my mailbox.
Could we make him a copy and present it to him after the meeting?
Yes, Mayor, I think we could.
If you'll hang around, we'll give you an answer.
That would just be glorious.
Great, thank you.
And I have one other issue.
Sure.
I went to before the Tiers Board because I had submitted an application requesting TIF support, just like the city has provided the Courtyard Hotel downtown and other properties in our community. And I would like to have the benefit of TIF support for the development of my hotel property. It represents a very significant contribution to our downtown revitalization. And the longer that matter is delayed, it's costing the city $1 million. My pro forma statement demonstrates that we have the capacity for earning ad valorem taxes and sales taxes that will approximate $1 million of money to benefit our community. So it's really important for me to have a quick response and a favorable response from the Tiers Board. So I trust that will happen.
As we stated, the letter will be in your hands right after this meeting, and you'll have your answer.
Well, but the second matter is, I was told by the chairman of the Tiers Board that they had tabled my application for TIF support.
And I think we very succinctly addressed this in the letter, did we not, Mr. City Manager?
I believe so.
Yeah, so you'll have that right after the meeting, Mr. Goodrich.
So it's resolved, and you're not assuming that you're going to buy my building?
We thought it was important that we put this in writing so you would have it, so we did that. And you'll have that in your hot little hands right after the meeting.
Lord help, and I trust I'll be able to go back before the Tiers Board and say, all this matter's been resolved.
You'll be able to read that letter and address what we've responded. Thank you.
I see. I didn't get the right correct answer, but I'll see what you say.
So you are getting a straight answer. The letter is very clear, so you'll have that very shortly.
I hope it's what I requested.
As soon as we're done here, you'll have it.
Is it what I requested?
Sir, your answer is there in the letter, so you requested an answer, and it's
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're certainly welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I look forward to presenting a really wonderful plan for contribution to our city's downtown revitalization plan very soon.
Thank you.
You'll love it. You'll love it. Thank you.
Mayor, certainly. I just would like to remind the audience that during this time of meeting, we are really not able to debate issues of the day that were not previously on the agenda because everybody who may be interested in the issue are not here to have their chance. So we can talk about matters of fact as the mayor has done, and really other than that, we're not really able to debate that issue. It's just in case members that are new to the audience may not understand that.
Thank you. Anyone else who would like to make a comment today in this open part of the meeting? We encourage those. Yes, could we ask the students that are here to stand up, please? We appreciate you coming as part of your classes. I think there's some people here. And there's quite a few here. So some of the meetings you come and there's not much that goes on. There's a little more today, and we want to thank you. Are you all with Amarillo College? Some with WT? And then Amarillo College. So we appreciate you being here, and we hope this encourages you to get more involved in
government, and we'll see. It's not always pleasant to watch sausage made, is what I'm told, but we hope that you will stay engaged. Thank you. Thanks very much. Okay. Anyone else? If not, we will.
Comment in passing.
Certainly.
But I might point out, excuse me, last week on Tuesday we had our evening meeting. This week, of course, it was at 3 o'clock. Not counting the students, but citizens who are here at this meeting. We have 5 times as many citizens here tonight, or today, that we had last Tuesday night. Which to me speaks well of a 3 o'clock meeting as opposed to a 5:30 meeting. Personally. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Sure, and from that, because we have some people concerned about our meeting times, when I was on the commission in 04 and 05, we moved the meetings around, and we had a lot of concerns expressed, and those were addressed. And as that went on, and more things were addressed, the attendance fell off. When they came back, I was off the commission. They agreed to do one at 5:30 a month and the rest at 3:30. And we would certainly take any input about the best way to communicate, but we have so many public meetings. We think we're doing a good job with things like comprehensive plan and downtown development. And I don't know how many of those we've attended over the last 6 or 7 years, whether it be the Tiers Board or Downtown Inc. or the City Commission. But we encourage any kind of input that we can get from citizens. It is critical to us. We stress that, and we will continue to stress it. So if you have any ideas about how we can encourage attendance, we'd appreciate it. Thank you very much for attending today. Meeting is adjourned.